The thing about humans, right, is that they never really understood what the rest of us meant by civilized. I'm telling you this because I was there. Name's Vortesh, third cycle observer from the Kalthari Collective, and I thought I'd seen everything in my 16 rotations working Galactic Academy security. I mean, we get species from 47 different star systems cramming themselves into lecture halls, trying to pretend they're all evolved enough to share knowledge without eating each other. Usually works out fine. Usually. Then Marcus Webb walked into advanced quantum mechanics with Professor Threndle, and, well, let me tell you how that went. Attention all species. Threndle's voice crackled through every translator in the room. She was Vexorian, all scales and formal protocol, the kind of instructor who'd rather dissect you than give you a passing grade. As per Galactic Education Code 773, Section 4, I remind you that weapons of any classification are strictly forbidden within academic spaces. Standard stuff. Every semester, same speech. The Kralix kids always grumbled because apparently their ceremonial bone spikes counted as weapons. The Marathi had to check their acid sacs at the door. Normal procedure. Marcus, though? He just grinned that I watched him from my post near the back wall. This human kid with messy brown hair and a jacket that looked like he'd slept in it for 3 cycles. He raised his hand slowly, deliberately, and I swear I saw Threndle's secondary eyelids twitch. Yes, Mr. Webb. Her tone could have frozen hydrogen. Quick question, Professor. His voice had that dangerous lightness to it, the kind that made my dorsal plates prickle. When you say weapons, do you mean, like, physical objects? Tools designed for combat? That sort of thing? Obviously. Threndle's tail coiled tighter. Projectile devices, energy emitters, bladed instruments, chemical compounds, biological agents, kinetic enhancers, and any technology capable of inflicting harm upon another being. Is this concept somehow beyond your comprehension? A few of the other students chittered nervously. Nobody talked back to Threndle. She'd failed entire graduating classes before breakfast and enjoyed it. Marcus stood up. Slowly. That grin never wavered. So nothing I'm carrying right now would qualify as a weapon by your definition, correct? Unless you've smuggled contraband past security, which would result in immediate expulsion and possible criminal charges, then no, Mr. Webb. You should be carrying nothing that violates Academy regulations. Perfect. He tapped his chest, right over where humans keep that ridiculous blood pump of theirs. Because the most dangerous weapon in this room? It's right here. The whole lecture hall went silent. And I mean silent. Even the Marathi stopped their constant humming. Threndle's scales shifted to that purple-gray color that meant she was about 3 seconds from calling for full security lockdown. Explain yourself, she hissed, immediately. Marcus spread his arms wide, and that's when I noticed half the class was edging away from him. Smart kids. My brain, Professor. Human neurology. We're talking about a species that looked at the stars with nothing but mathematical scratches on cave walls and decided, yeah, we're going there. No natural armor? Fine, we'll invent it. No claws. We'll make better ones out of metal. Can't survive in space? Watch us build a can with an engine and do it anyway. This is not philosophy class, Mr. Webb. But Threndle's voice had changed, just slightly. Uncertainty creeping in. You're right. It's quantum mechanics. Marcus walked toward the front of the class, and I swear every security sensor in my vest started pinging warnings. So let me demonstrate what a human brain can do when properly motivated. He reached the holo display and pulled up a problem. Not just any problem, the one Threndle had assigned last week. The one that supposedly took the previous graduating class 3 months to solve collectively. The one she used to weed out the weak. Standard quantum tunneling calculation, Marcus said, fingers flying across the holographic interface. Except Professor Threndle added this delightful little twist here in the boundary conditions, see? Most species hit this wall and give up because their neural architecture processes problems linearly. And humans don't. That was Klesh, a Yarvon student in the 3rd row, mandibles clicking skeptically. Marcus laughed, actually laughed, while simultaneously solving equations that made my translator smoke trying to keep up. Humans invented persistence hunting, my friend. We chased prey for days until it literally died of exhaustion. We invented the concept of spite as a motivational tool. Our brains are wired to look at impossible problems and go, bet I can break that. The equations kept flowing. Faster now. Threndle had gone completely still, which for Vexorians meant total focus. See, when you said no weapons in class, what you really meant was no external weapons. Nothing you could confiscate. Marcus's hands never stopped moving. But humans? We weaponized curiosity. We turned stubbornness into an evolutionary advantage. We looked at the concept of giving up and collectively decided, nah, that's boring. The solution materialized on the hollow display. Complete. Verified. Perfect. In 47 seconds, the lecture hall exploded into chaos. Everyone talking at once, except Threndle. She stared at that display like it had personally offended her entire genetic line. She started, stopped, started again. That's impossible. That's humanity. Marcus tapped his chest again, right over that pumping heart. So yeah, Professor, I came to class unarmed. But you think this isn't dangerous? He turned to face the class, and I'll never forget what he said next. Every human carries the most devastating weapon in the galaxy right between their ears. It's the thing that turned hairless apes into star sailors. It's the reason we're the youngest species in this academy and already causing problems. And the really scary part, that grin widened. We're just getting started. Threndle's scales flickered through about 17 different colors in the span of 3 heartbeats, which, for those of you not familiar with Vexorian biology, basically meant her brain was rebooting. The rest of the class just sat there, frozen, like someone had hit the pause button on reality.me. I was already reaching for my emergency comm, because 20 years of security experience was screaming that this situation was about to go sideways in ways that weren't covered in any manual. Then Kresh, bless his thick Yarvan skull, decided to poke the human. Big talk from a species that only got warp capability 3 cycles ago. His mandibles clacked in what passed for Yarvan laughter. You solve one equation, and suddenly you think you're apex predators of the galaxy? Oh no. Marcus turned slowly, and I watched his expression shift into something that made my survival instincts start composing my resignation letter. Crash right. Marcus leaned against Threndle's desk like he owned it. Let me tell you a story about apex predators. Back on Earth, humans weren't even close to the strongest species. We had things called bears that could rip us apart, tigers that hunted us for sport, tiny organisms called bacteria that killed millions of us. Then how did you survive? That was Prilla, a Zinti student who'd been recording everything on her neural implant. Smart girl, probably already selling this to the drama feeds. We didn't just survive, Prilla. We dominated. Know what we did to those bears? Turned them into pets. Put them in zoos. Made entertainment out of creatures that could snap us in half. Marcus pulled up another hollow display, this time showing Earth's evolutionary timeline. And those bacteria that killed millions? We studied them, understood them. Then we created tiny molecular machines that hunt them down and destroy them. The equations from before were still floating in the air, solved, impossible, mocking everyone who'd struggled with them. We turned our weaknesses into weapons. Marcus continued, his voice dropping lower, more intense. Every species in this room has something you're naturally good at. Kresh, your people have exoskeletons that can withstand pressures that would crush me flat. Prilla, Zinti neural processing makes you living computers. And you, Professor Threndle, Vexorians can see across 17 different light spectrums simultaneously. Your point, Mr. Webb. Threndle had finally found her voice again, though it sounded strained. My point is that humans have exactly one advantage. Just one. But it's the advantage that matters most. He tapped his temple this time, not his chest. We're too stupid to know when we're beaten, and too smart to stay beaten when we figure it out. That makes no sense, Kresh muttered. Doesn't it, though? Marcus started pacing now, and I noticed other students were actually taking notes. Tell me something, class. How many of your species looked at space travel and thought, well, this is impossible, so let's just focus on making our home planets nicer? Silence. Uncomfortable silence. Yeah, that's what I thought. Most species wait until they naturally evolve the capability or until someone else gives them the technology. Humans? We did the math with chalk and paper, built metal tubes powered by controlled explosions, and threw ourselves at the sky until it gave up and let us through. Threndle's tail had started that slow swishing thing that meant she was actually thinking instead of just judging. Dangerous sign. The Galactic Council gave humanity probationary status, she said carefully, because you're reckless. Unpredictable. You take risks that would make any sane species request immediate psychological intervention. Exactly. Marcus pointed at her like she'd just proven his thesis. And that's why I'm the most dangerous thing in this classroom. Not because I'm violent. Not because I want to hurt anyone. But because when you give a human a problem, we don't ask if it can be solved. We ask how long it'll take to solve it, and then we cut that time in half out of spite. Prilla raised one of her upper appendages. But what about the weapons ban? You still haven't explained why you're not violating it. Because, Marcus said, pulling up another problem on the holo display, this one even more complex than the first, you can't ban evolution. You can't confiscate adaptation. And you definitely can't regulate the kind of stubborn, irrational, occasionally insane creativity that comes from a species that decided the food chain was more of a suggestion than a rule. He solved the second problem in 32 seconds. Faster than the first, the class erupted again, but this time it wasn't shock. It was fear mixed with something else. Respect, maybe? Or the kind of horrified fascination you get when watching something beautiful and terrible at the same time. So here's what's going to happen, Marcus said over the noise. I'm going to sit in this class, follow every rule, break no regulations, and carry nothing that violates your weapons policy. And I'm still going to be the most dangerous entity in this room, because I'm human, and we don't need external weapons when we've spent 4 million years turning our minds into the sharpest tools in existence. Threndle stood up, her full height towering over the human. For a moment, I thought about calling for backup. Then she did something I'd never seen in my entire career. She laughed. Mr. Webb, she said, scales shifting to a color that indicated genuine amusement. You've just volunteered to solve every challenge problem I assign this semester. If human brains are truly as dangerous as you claim, let's see if yours can handle what I throw at it. Marcus's grin somehow got wider. Professor, I thought you'd never ask. And that's when I realized the kid wasn't bluffing. He was warning us. The rest of the galaxy had rules about weapons because we needed external tools to be dangerous. But humans? They'd weaponized thought itself, turned curiosity into conquest, made stubbornness into strategy. That I filed my report that day with a single recommendation. Humanity wasn't a threat because of what they carried. They were a threat because of what they were, and they'd just announced it to everyone dumb enough to listen.